When I say smoking, you will most likely think of cigarettes. If you've watched shows or movies that are set in the period between 1930s to 70s, you will know cigarette smoking was very common back in the day. Till, of course, research showed that smoking has harmful effects on health, and then we know the rest of the story. But in the conversations around defending human health, we forgot to ask about our environment's health. Nalini, co founder of the Butt Ballot, tells us more about how the flick of a cigarette butt is burdening the planet's existing plastic crisis.
I think it started much early on when we were kids. And when I say we, I mean me and my co-founders, Hansika and Prateek. We, as young individuals, were taught how to care for the environment, and we were taught that our actions, will affect the environment, and it's on us to take care of it. And I think just our schooling and that awareness that was created in us at a very young age, not bursting crackers, for example, just small things like that, keeping your wrapper in your pocket and not chucking it here and there. Just small things like this, which were taught to us very early on and which we nurtured and developed. And I think came through in this company that we started together, the Butt Ballot. It happened basically when Prateek was just out of college. I was done. I had been working as a designer for a few years, and I wanted to do something more which was a little more related with social impact. And Hansika was also just done with her graduation, and we wanted to do something together which was related to impact. And Prateek, my cousin, he saw this being done in the UK, and we realized that it's a great thing to actually bring here because, I mean, you have a lot of organizations doing such great stuff over here for different kinds of waste. I mean, no one's doing anything for cigarette waste as such.
Right.
So we decided to, start this over here because we realized that this can be used at so many places like restaurants and pubs and just even public spaces, because there is obviously like people smoke over here left, right and center, and there is so much of cigarette waste being produced, but there is no one actually doing anything about the waste. There's no waste management or recycling that's happening. What we decided was to start something similar but take it one step further and ensure that the waste was being recycled as well. Not just the collection of cigarette waste, but also getting it recycled. And recycled, why? Because cigarette, like not many people are aware of this, but cigarettes are actually non-biodegradable because their filter is made out of plastic fibers. So that's why, we wanted to bring this to India and like handle collection and recycling of cigarette waste in bulk.
And I think that's such an important point, and I hope that shocks a lot of a lot of people who listen in. That
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Because even when I talk to people and, they're like, why? Why are you collecting cigarettes?
Yeah.
And when I tell them that, like your filter has plastic fibers in it, they're like, no, not mine. Mine is this brand or mine is that brand. And I'm like, all brands, like 99% of the brands have
some
like
kind
plastic
of
in their filter.
plastic.
Yeah. They're like pretty stunned and shocked, and they're like, oh my God. I mean, it's no wonder people don't treat cigarette waste as they do, like a plastic bottle or a wrapper or like different kinds, other kinds of waste. People will always be like, oh, I'll keep this in my pocket, I'll keep this in my bag, and then I'll go home and chuck it in the dustbin. That's what even people who are not so concerned about the environment, I mean, now they know, not to throw like plastic bottles here and there. But no one really thinks about chucking a cigarette into like wherever they're standing. They'll just like flick it away. No, not knowing that it has filters made up of plastic fibers actually. Sorry, when I say plastic fibers, I mean cellulose acetate, which is not directly like a plastic, but it's a derivative of plastic. So
yeah, and I think that is also such an important thing to be aware of, the different kinds of plastics. I think in this whole world of recycling that we are finally talking about a lot more, there are so many different kinds of plastics that people kind of lose track of that as well. but having that awareness itself is so important. And yeah,
Right.
so speaking about awareness, tell us a bit more about how the butt ballot works, and what was the thought behind it, and how are you helping raise the awareness amongst smokers and also non-smokers?
So the Butt Ballot is more like it's a portal, it's a physical portal
Mhm.
wherein we get people to stub via a voting system. That's why it's called a ballot.
Yeah.
So they can vote with their cigarette. So the fact that the process of stubbing is kind of made like a game, it's like an
Hmm.
interaction between the person and a ballot where they're voting for something with their cigarette, makes it more engaging, it makes it more memorable, it makes it more people keep in mind this concept. And the questions are just like, not necessarily like difficult questions as such. It's just fun questions, engaging questions,
Hmm.
something as simple as, who was your favorite character in Friends, like Phoebe or Rachel or
Yeah.
something like that, and people can vote with their cigarettes. So it's fun to watch the columns of the cigarettes rise. And it's also, I mean, at the end of the day, you're collecting the waste and you're
Mhm.
just making it engaging for the user to dispose of their cigarettes in that particular way. And the thing is, when they stub, they not only just stubbing, they get to, I mean, they wonder, right? Like, why am I putting
Mm.
my cigarette here? And then that curiosity obviously leads them to find out more about what we do.
Mhm.
And obviously we have like a little infographic by our butt ballots saying that why you should stub your cigarette here, how it's made out of plastic, how your cigarette butt is full of toxins which will leach into the environment if you chuck it elsewhere. And these are not just any toxins, these are hard toxins like
Yeah.
nicotine, arsenic, lead. So we have a bit of an educative thing next to our butt ballots where people can learn more about why this makes sense for them to do. And also, a lot of our questions are centered towards education about,
Mhm.
like, for example, we'll have a question saying, did you know cigarettes were non biodegradable? Or did you know cigarette filters were made up of plastic fibers, or things like that. So people are actually educated through the process, and
Mm.
they also kind of get into the habit of stubbing responsibly. Like, they'll do it once, they'll do it twice, and then the third time they'll actually, if they're not around a butt ballot, they'll actually think like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, where do I chuck this? Like, I shouldn't be throwing it just into the
Yeah.
gutter or the sidewalk or something. I should actually maybe put it back into something. Or, in
Mm.
fact, that brings me to the other product that we offer, which is a pocket ashtray.
Mhm.
This is something that people can carry with them at all times. So even when they're not next to a butt ballot, they can basically stub their cigarettes in that. So it's something. I mean, it's a pocket ashtray. It basically fits into your pocket,
Yeah.
and it contains the smell of your cigarettes. You can dispose of about 12 to 15 cigarettes in one of them. And it's water resistant, and it's really cool. I mean, it's a cool thing to do, like you're stubbing in your own pocket ashtray. It doesn't get cooler than that. And then, when you go home, you can just chuck it into your bin. So it's better that you're not
Mhm.
just emptying it into the environment. And better, if you are around a butt pallet, then you can empty it in a butt pallet, and then we basically recycle it.
I think both the concepts are very cool, and I can vouch for it because when I was going through the Instagram page and I saw the different questions and the different infographics, and it's just so engaging and fun.
Right.
It's not like direct on your face, it's not making you, it's not
I
calling
know.
you out on smoking, or it's not trying to get you to stop or quit. It's just it's just pure love for the environment, and it kind of it shows, and it shows in the way it's presented, it shows in the design of the ballot. And I think having a pocket ashtray is also brilliant idea, because awareness is what is going to get people to change behavior, and I think
Exactly.
both the concepts do it so well. So
Pocket ashtray, the thing is, you don't even need to be around a Butt Ballot. Like I
right.
said, you can be in on a mountain, or you can be by the beach, and I mean, you can be smoking a cigarette, and it's so good that you can just leave from there without leaving any trace of litter.
Yeah.
Like, I feel so guilty when I'm at a beach and I have trash, and then I have, obviously, because on a beach there are no dustbins.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, what do you do if you can't chuck it anywhere? Then you
I
have
know.
to carry it back with you, right? So
Yeah.
it's so cool because you can just put this in. You can just stub the cigarette in your pocket ashtray, and it's small, and it's like, it just fits into anywhere. It can fit into
Yeah.
your bikini even. So it's a nice thing to carry.
And it's like a little wallet, right? I mean, I saw it. It's like a little wallet that just slides.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
basically the inside is lined with foil, so there's no way it
Mm.
can burn. You can even kill your cigarette on the inside. You can kill it inside and just
Yeah.
drop it in. Like, it goes off. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, we've spoken a little bit about this before, how you are working with different partners, and let's call them heroes, because they have agreed to to
Work with
partner
us.
up with you on this
Exactly.
journey. So they have taken that first step, and they've become conscious that, okay, this is something that we should be doing. How is your team working with them, and how are you influencing responsible stubbing by partnering up with them and by placing the ballot in their space? And how does that work? Like, how do you first educate them, or yeah, just the whole process of it?
Yeah, so no, I completely agree when you call these guys heroes, because they really are. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to tap into such a large percent of population,
Yeah.
and when so these people being, people who run festivals, and people who run restaurants, people who
Mhm.
run corporate spaces, who run corporate offices, and tie up with us to, people who are willing to go that extra mile to have us have our butt ballots in their space. And
Mhm.
they take the time, the money, the effort to actually work with us, and ensure that all the cigarette waste that is being produced in their property, or in their festivals, or
Mhm.
is being taken care of, and is being managed well, and is being recycled. So they have that, the sense, and they care enough to just
Yeah.
go that extra mile to recycle the waste, and just be, aware of it. And yeah, they have the mindfulness, and to actually recycle their cigarette waste, a form of waste which is so often overlooked. It's basically the most overlooked kind of waste there is. Like, no one thinks
True.
about cigarette waste. It's always different other, like plastic, because cigarettes are firstly so small. The biggest thing is that it is the most littered item on this planet right
Yeah.
now. It's not plastic bottles, it's not wrappers, it's not thermocol, it's nothing else, but it's cigarette that is the most littered item on the planet. And this is a fact.
I mean, honestly, when I came to know of the work that you're doing, I was surprised. Like, I had no clue that there was plastic in the filter paper, and
Yeah, exactly.
it is a
And
fact that does come off as surprising to a lot of people.
so basically, we don't do the recycling in house. We have partners we've tied up with.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, what they do is they first segregate the parts of a cigarette, which is paper and tobacco, and
Mm-hmm.
the filter, which is the plastic fibers. And they will recycle the paper to make paper again.
Mm-hmm.
The tobacco goes into the making of compost powder, And the cellulose acetate will basically go into the making of products like cushion pillows, mattresses, plastic pellets, which then go into the making of other products. So, and before this step is, of course, the cleansing of the filter. So,
Right.
basically, cleanse it off all those chemicals and you dispose it off in an environmentally friendly way, and then you use the plastic fibers to make plastic pellets and other products. So basically all the constituents of a cigarette are taken care of.
Amazing. So there, in a way, there's also that circularity that comes in where, like
Exactly. And that was the most important thing when we started. We didn't just want to ensure like proper disposal and collection, but we
Mhm.
also want to ensure that it gets recycled properly so that it doesn't end up in our landfills or something.
It is so easy to misconstrue the Butt Ballot team's initiative as a way to get people to reduce or even stop smoking. If that does become a consequence of mindful stubbing, great. But even if it doesn't, let's appreciate that it is a positive first step towards responsible action. The spark of awareness is what we need for one responsible action to be multiplied 10 times to keep our planet healthy. So, as you reflect on your journey and the work that you've done so far, the stakeholders that you have partnered up with, in that, what are some of the big wins and what big learnings have emerged from these wins? So they do not have to be big wins. I mean, wins can be something that you treasure and you cherish. So,
On our journey, we basically started with restaurants and pubs, right?
mhm.
And we realized that it doesn't work very well. Like the butt ballot doesn't work very well at restaurants where there are ashtrays already on the table and where people sit and smoke at the table. Then obviously they're just going to use the ashtray, you
Right.
know. So it didn't do too well at restaurants. It did better at pubs because at pubs there is a lot of standing and walking around
Correct.
crowd.
Hmm.
So we learned on the job. Basically, we were all so new at it, right? So we
Yeah.
learned most of it on the job, all of it on the job actually,
Hmm.
and we realized that okay, it's doing better at pubs, and so we met Naveen Deshpande, who is basically the founder of Disrupt Festival. He runs the Disrupt Festival in Bombay,
Okay.
and he suggested that we should try it out at festivals because festivals is even like music festivals,
Hmm.
there are even more people and they're all walking around and on the go and no one's sitting down really and there are no ashtrays over there. So he suggested that it would work great at music festivals. And so we actually his was the first festival that we worked at, which was Disrupt
Awesome.
in Bombay. And I think that was our big break. That was the big break for us
Hmm.
because soon after that, it got picked up by like many festivals and a lot of big names. And I think that was Disrupt was a big win for us. And then
Hmm.
follow all the following festivals were big wins. NH7, Magnetic Fields, Budex, Mahindra Blues in Bombay,
Awesome.
FFX, VH1 Supersonic. Like, I mean, a lot of music festivals across India.
Hmm.
And I just learned that a lot of people actually do give a shit about the environment,
Mm.
and a lot of people will actually go that extra mile and quite literally will walk that extra mile to stub in a butt ballot when there is that opportunity given to them. Most of the
Yeah.
times what happens is there is no place to stub a cigarette, or even a dustbin for that matter. When you go abroad you have options to dispose your waste and you have like
Segregation.
segregation options available.
Yeah.
Over here there really aren't that many options, and for cigarettes though, I mean, not at all. People will want to take the greener choice and
Mm.
they won't mind taking that extra effort if the opportunity is given to them.
Yeah.
So that is like something positive and something that makes me very happy to
Mm.
know and to basically keep doing this work. like it's a huge motivating factor.
Definitely. And I completely agree with that. Like for example, in my case, I have started segregating my waste and, I'm also trying to reduce my plastic consumption and waste. But it is so difficult
So
to
difficult.
find,
It's part of
yeah,
the system, like it's
everywhere.
all at a systemic level. You
Exactly.
can't buy dal without buying the packet. You can't buy your red capsicum and your red pepper
Yeah.
and yellow. It's so funny that has to come in plastic. It's so funny that all of our vegetables come in plastic. I find it extremely funny.
Yeah.
Like
And these kind of systems have filtered through from the developed countries. And
of
India
course,
back in the day had a very sustainable way of consuming, manufacturing, disposing. It's just in the last 40, 50 years, we've all just been, so captivated by this plastic revolution that
completely
it's,
agree with you. I completely agree with you. Like, if you look at our nannies, okay, even my
yeah,
mom, I mean, even that generation, when they used to go to the kirana ka dukan, they would
mm,
take their own thelis and go, and they
exactly.
would come back and empty all the stuff on the vatta, and I mean, whatever, put it in its place.
Yeah.
There was, I mean, no need for plastics back then. So even now, when I'm calling my vegetable guy to come and deliver, I
Mm,
have to tell him कि भैया please plastic में
plastic
नहीं
mat.
लाओ, सिर्फ
Yeah.
एक थैली में लाओ. And theli is also like that big cloth ka bag, that he has.
Mm,
And now he knows, because I've literally told him like 10, 20 times, ki please plastic nahi, plastic nahi. And after so many times, he knows, and he'll just bring the theli and I'll empty it. And I have my fixed set of like 10 plastic bags in the house that I use. And
yeah.
I don't bring a single plastic more into the house. Like, I'm completely against it.
Yeah, so there are like a few of us who are consciously trying to, adopt that lifestyle, but then it's also important for us to be empathetic towards the ones who are not because they just don't have the opportunity. They just don't have the, I would say the resource or the capacity. So when you say that the motivating factor for you is seeing that people actually care, it's just that they need to be given that, yeah, opportunity. I completely agree. And I think it's important for all of us in this space who are trying to do something about it to realize that, okay, it's time to start coming up with these solutions and people will soon
Yeah,
just
definitely.
come on board if they really care and if they want to contribute positively. So yeah, that's my learning as well. So now that you've been in this journey for 3 years and you've had your wins and you've learned in the process, what is your vision for the Butt Ballot? What is your hope? What is your dream? What is the big picture that you're seeing when you
Okay.
think of this initiative in the, let's say, in the next couple of years or next 5 years?
I would like to see this at all of the music festivals and
Mm,
all. I think more than music festivals, like I've been saying this since the start. I want to just get into the tapri space, like have this at
yeah.
tapris, because just imagine if we have this at all the tapris across the country. I mean, there's going to be so much cigarette waste that is collected and recycled, and that would be the best way to kind of deal with cigarette waste, because it's like, with the Butt Ballot, you're already collecting cigarettes in a segregated manner. What
Mm,
happens right now is, once it gets mixed with different kinds of waste, you can't recycle it.
right.
So that's why there is the need for something like this, and at a larger level. So I mean, definitely, I want to see this happening at a lot more music festivals, at international music festivals. But I also want to see it at chai tapris and like just
Mm,
our kirane wala, where everyone goes for a smoke, and I think more than my vision for the Butt Ballot, I just hope for people to more people to be mindful about cigarette waste, and to be
mm,
mindful about where they are throwing that cigarette. And after even listening to our conversation, if they're going out for a smoke, to like think and to
mm,
actually know that if they are going to throw it chuck it carelessly by the roadside, then it is going to have an impact, a direct impact on the environment. It is going to leach 1,000 chemicals into the ground. It is going to leach 1,000 chemicals into our waters. It is going to affect a ton of marine life. It has a very direct impact on the environment. So I really want for people to be very mindful about their cigarettes, where they're throwing it. I mean, just get a pocket ashtray, even if there isn't a Butt Ballot around. That's already one big step in the right direction. So, and a lot of people, the moment they realize that cigarettes are non-biodegradable, they are immediately so much more careful about it. So I just want for more people to know about this fact, because it's a very well hidden secret. And I think people should talk more about just how
Definitely.
the plastic.
I'm so glad that you guys are already thinking about what will happen if there's no Butt Ballot, because the reality is that you cannot have a Butt Ballot in every nook and corner. It's nice that you've already started thinking about alternative solutions, like which is the pocket ashtray, and like you said, once people realize, it's just a matter of them being responsible stubbers and converts. All right, so now we come to the what if question. This question really is to help us picture a world that we can help create together through our small actions or big actions, or even if it means talking to each other about it, or bringing this up in your conversations with your friends or family. So it really can be anything. So it's just a way for us to start thinking about a world which is reimagined, which is a more safer and healthier place for all of us to coexist in. Okay, so what if someone listening in to this episode, so one of our listeners, they wanted to see a Butt Ballot at their favorite cafe or a tapriwala or a restaurant or even their workplace? I'm not including festivals right now because of COVID, but let's say festivals also becomes a part of it. What is the first thing they need to do?
I think email us, call us directly, reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook. If you know anyone who has a space that could benefit from the service that we provide, or if you know people who do smoke and don't stub responsibly, let them know that this option is there and they can reach out to us and just get a pocket ashtray from us. Or if you know anyone who runs a festival or has a space, then just let them know and let us know, and of course we'll step in and help you out.
I hope that whoever is listening in does, they do reach out and do get people at least curiosity. I just hope that it sparks some curiosity and sparks.
And even if it's just part of even if people just start talking about how non-biodegradable and what a surprising fact it is, then that's half the battle won, because as soon as people know about the plastic aspect, then the way they treat it is completely different. Than they treat it then they immediately treat it like a wrapper or a plastic bottle, instead of just thinking, oh, it's just cotton and it's paper, and it's not. Just awareness is half the battle won.
Definitely. All right, so now it's the last question, and it's about gratitude. It is, I believe that it's just being grateful for the small things. It really helps you be a little more grounded. It helps you take care of the things that you have and that you have expressed gratitude for. And in this case, it is our environment. So I just want to know from your end, what are you grateful for?
List I am going to, oh my God. Okay, so there are a few, I'm obviously not going to name everyone, but there are a few names and people popping up in my mind right now. I mean, the first one being my school principal, Nalini Mangwani. I think she was really, someone who was very concerned about the environment and made sure that her students learned about it too. So that's where the initial learning happened. And then, of course, Pratik and Hansika for initiating this and for actually giving birth to this company. And then I think Naveen Deshpande, because he suggested it was his idea that we do it at music festivals, and that I think, like I said, was a big break for us. And then, of course, all the festivals who supported us and partnered with us and continue to do so. And I mean, then of course, you people like you for helping me to get the word out there. And yeah, so I think just everyone who's been a part of this journey, basically.
Our plastic crisis can get overwhelming at times. Too many different kinds, types, compositions, and we're still figuring out what can and can't be recycled. But let that not stop us from adopting measures that are responsible and mindful in the consumption and disposal of all things plastic. That's a wrap on today's episode. Are you ready to kick some butt? Then go check out what the Butt Ballot has been up to and spark this conversation with your close ones. It is the easiest and fastest way to multiply action. Don't forget to share this episode. We want more of us kicking butt every day. We are friendly, so write to us your thoughts, suggestions, and feedback. You can also chat with us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Until we meet again, take care and follow necessary health precautions to keep yourself and those around you safe and healthy.